If I could go back in time 35 years to just before I picked up my first guitar, there would be so many things that I've learned today that I'd want to share with my past self. Unfortunately, I don't have access to a time machine, but in this video, I'm going to share with you the 5 things I wish I knew before I picked up guitar all those years ago, and hopefully save you tons of time so you don't make the same mistakes that I did. So if that sounds good to you, grab your guitar and let's go. Alright, so number one may be the most important, and that's how to practice. When I was starting guitar in the 90s, there weren't resources like there are now, like YouTube. And I was completely self-taught. So what that really consisted of for me was buying guitar magazines with tab and playing along to whatever songs I could get access to. And then eventually trying to learn songs by ear. And while that helped me in a lot of ways, I didn't have a mentor to show me the fingerings or show me how to practice the licks that I was trying to learn. And also being a teenager and wanting to play these songs right away, I often cut corners to try and make it sound like the real thing without nailing it 100%. So the first thing I would change about my practice habits back then is learning things slowly and deliberately and not trying to rush and cut corners to play faster than I actually was capable at that time. And lately I've even been taking this to the extreme, and I'll give you an example. So if we're trying to learn a fast lick like this, it's very tempting to try and rush through that and maybe not focus on picking all the notes properly or not muting the strings, which results in extra noise. So what I do now when I'm learning new phrasings is I slow it extremely down, and I'm talking about this slow. And so when we take something down to this ultra slow pace, what we can do is focus on the fundamentals of what we're playing. So in this example, I'm focusing on my pick attack. And while it would be easier to downpick all those notes at that slow pace, if I want to build up any speed, I'm going to have to use those upstrokes. So better to work on those fundamentals and get that pick attack right at a very slow pace than start getting sloppy when we speed it up. And the next thing I'm focusing on for this lick is making sure my bends are in key. So again, at a slower pace, it's much easier to make sure I'm hitting the proper pitch with those bends, and my fingers are getting used to the tension required to hit the proper notes. And then the last thing I'm focusing on in this practice is making sure I'm muting strings with my palm or my picking hand that I don't want ringing out and creating a lot of extra noise. So if we play without muting anything, there's some distracting noise, and while it doesn't sound as bad when you're playing it slowly, when you start playing fast, it's really going to take away from the overall sound of that lick. So while we're practicing slow, we're figuring out the position that we want our palm on our picking hand to be to minimize noise. And then once we've got all these things kind of dialed in, we continue to practice slow and then gradually speed up either with a metronome or tapping your foot until we get it up to the pace that we want it. And the main benefit from practicing this way is you're going to avoid building up bad habits that are really hard to remove later on in playing. And I don't just do this for fast licks or solo type stuff, I also do this for riffs when I'm first learning them. So even for slower riffs like this, you can slow it down to an ultra slow pace and really focus on the nuances of your playing. And you might be surprised at the things that are awkward or trip you up that you didn't even expect. So always remember, if you can't play it slow, you can't play it fast. Alright, the second thing I wish I had knew when I first started playing guitar is the major scale. So when I started playing guitar, I was into bands like Nirvana and a lot of punk rock bands. And I kind of had the mentality that theory was for like the metalheads or other styles of music, and that for punk rock, all you needed was 3 chords and attitude. And to a certain extent, you can get really far that way. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with knowing a little bit of theory. And if I had to start with any bit of theory, it would be the major scale. So what I recommend you do is learn the major scale in the first position. So if we're in A, and one of the reasons I wish I had started off with the major scale is that it's the backbone for pretty much all music theory. Building chords, chord progressions, other scales, they're all based on the major scale. And in addition, if you want to play any type of basic leads, you're either going to be using a major scale or a minor scale. And what's great about the major scale is the pattern for it is exactly the same as the minor scale. So for this example, to keep things simple, I'm going to start with the major pentatonic scale. And the major pentatonic scale is the same thing as the major scale, we're just using 5 of the notes instead of all 7. And so an easy position to remember, the A major pentatonic starts at the 2nd fret and goes like this. And so the great thing about knowing this position is if we move our hand 3 frets up, so instead of starting our scale at the 2nd fret, we start at the 5th fret, that is the A minor pentatonic. So A major pentatonic, A minor pentatonic. And the reverse is also true. If you know that minor pentatonic, you can move your hand 3 frets down and play the major pentatonic. So learning either the major scale or the minor scale is like learning 2 scales in one. And so if I could go back in time, I would have learned that major scale right off the bat. Instead, it took me years fumbling around trying to play things by ear, and then slowly realizing that the stuff that sounded good to me that I thought I was just making up on my own usually fell into either the minor scale or the major scale. And so following along with learning the major scale, the other thing I would have learned right away is the notes of the fretboard. And I know it sounds boring and overwhelming to a lot of people when they're first starting to play guitar, and believe me, I was there. It's gonna help your progress significantly. And the great news is there's actually some shortcuts and tricks that you can use to make the memorization a lot easier. And so I'm gonna real briefly go through a kind of shortcut process to learn the notes of the fretboard. But to get fretboard fluent, you're gonna need to practice it. So the first thing we need to know when we're learning the notes of the fretboard is the spacing between the notes. So typically there's 2 frets between every whole note. So we have F at the 1st fret, G at the 3rd fret, A at the 5th fret, B at the 7th fret. But when we get to B, there's only a 1 fret difference. So we go B to C, just 1 fret up. Then C to D is again 2 frets. And then D to E is 2 frets. And then E to F is 1 fret. So we have 2 frets between each note except for between B and C and E and F. So the first thing we want to do is learn the notes of the low E string. So open, we have E, 1 fret to F, 2 frets to G, 2 frets to A, 2 frets to B, 1 fret to C, 2 frets to D, and then 2 frets back to E. And then the fretboard repeats from there. So we're gonna stop at the 12th fret. All right, so now it's time for one of the shortcuts. In a standard tuned guitar, once we know the notes of the low E string, we also know the notes of the D string. So we can pick any note on the low E string. So let's say 5th fret of the low E string, which is an A. And if we go 2 frets down, so 7th fret, and skip a string, so 7th fret of the D string, that's also an A. And that goes for any note on the low E string. So if we go 3rd fret of the low E string, skip a string, and go to 5th fret of the D string, that's also a G. So with this trick, once we've memorized the notes of the low E string, we basically memorized the notes of the D string, or we have a quick shortcut to find them. And then the next step is learning the notes of the A string. And again, it follows the same pattern as the low E string, it just starts on an A. So open is A, 2 frets up is B, 1 fret up from that is a C because of what we talked about earlier, 2 frets to D, 2 frets to E, 1 fret to F, 2 frets to G, 2 frets to A. And then it repeats from the 12th fret. And so we can use the same trick that we used on the low E string to go from the A string to the G string. So if we play the C at the 3rd fret of the A string, go down 2 frets and skip a string, we play the 5th fret of the G string, that's also a C. And it repeats throughout the fretboard. So to recap, we memorize the notes of the E string and the A string, the bottom 2 strings, and then we can find the corresponding notes on each string by going up 2 frets and skipping a string. So essentially we know or can find all of the notes on the bottom 4 strings now. And then for notes on the B string, we do the same trick. We just go up 3 frets this time. And this is just based on the tuning of the guitar. We have a G at the 3rd fret of the low E. Then we have a G at the 5th fret of the D string. Then we also have a D at the 8th fret of the B string. So for one single note using our trick, we have memorized the fact that the 3rd fret of the low E string is a G. We skip a string and go up 2 frets to the 5th fret of the D string. We also know that's a G. And then we can skip a string and go up 3 frets to the B string. And know that's a G. And so now we know or can find all the notes on the bottom 5 strings. And then the high E is exactly the same as the low E. So once we've memorized the low E, we know the high E. So with these easy tricks, we can navigate the entire fretboard. Maybe not have it memorized at this point, but at least have a quick way to figure out what note we're playing at any time. And this is super important if you're gonna compose your own songs or if you wanna play with other people. A lot of time, if you're just kind of improvising with a band, someone will call it the key that the song is in or tell you a chord to play. And it's important to know where your notes are on the fretboard so you know what your options are. And the next thing I wish I knew when I was first starting guitar is how important it is to play to a proper rhythm. So for most people, when they're starting guitar, their goal is to play with other musicians. And sitting on your couch strumming a guitar guitar and playing to your own rhythm is a totally different experience than playing with other musicians. You'll probably find, as I did, that all of your bad habits come out when you're playing with other people. It's almost like your ability declines by 50% as soon as you start playing in front of other people. But there's a couple important things you can do while you're practicing to avoid these issues. The first thing is to play along with a set tempo. So if you're learning phrases or scales or your own type of music, play along with a metronome. A metronome is going to keep you honest, and you might find out that it's a lot harder to play these simple riffs when you have to play along to a set time. If you don't have a metronome, you can also tap your foot. That's how I learned how to play. It's not as exact, but it will give you a feel for the rhythm. Another thing I highly recommend is when learning other people's music, play along with the record. Again, this is going to develop your ability to play along with a set rhythm or tempo. And also, I encourage you to learn the whole song all the way through. A lot of people will hear a cool riff and they'll just learn the riff. But I feel like when you're playing along with the song, you're going to learn a lot of cool nuances to the playing. And it's fun to try and learn the song all the way through and play through without messing up. It'll really increase your ability to play different things and take you outside the box of just learning select riffs here and there. And then once you have a decent sense of rhythm, nothing can compare it to playing with other musicians. You'll be able to hear the intricacies of what the drummer's doing, what the bass player's doing, what the other musicians are doing, and then help find your place in there. It's also going to increase your ability to ad-lib and become more creative with your guitar parts. There's really no substitute to playing live with other musicians if you can do it. And then the last thing I wish I knew when I first started playing guitar was how to properly set up and maintain my guitar. I first started playing guitar on my dad's old acoustic guitar that probably hadn't had the strings changed since the 70s, and the action felt like it was a foot high. It really made it tricky for a beginner to play a lot of things, and I'm really shocked that I kept up with guitar due to how unplayable that thing was and how bad it sounded. So save yourself a lot of hassle and get your guitar set up properly, or learn how to adjust things yourself. You're going to be so much more motivated to play guitar if you have a guitar that's fun to play. And it doesn't have to be an expensive guitar. Even a cheap guitar that's set up properly is more fun to play than an expensive guitar that's set up like crap. So the main things you want to look for in setting up your guitar properly is a straight neck, which can be adjusted using the truss rod. A lot of people don't like to do that, and if you don't know what you're doing, don't mess with it. But if your guitar has a lot of buzzing and fret issues, your truss rod might need to be adjusted. And if you think that's the case, it's best to take it to a technician who can do a full setup for you. But I do have a video on truss rod adjustment if you want to do it on your own. And then the main thing that's affected by setup that's going to make your playing a lot more fun is the action of the strings. And that's basically just the height of the strings off of the fret or fretboard. And I also have a video on adjusting the action. It's not difficult to do. Most people like the action about as low as you can possibly do without getting a lot of buzzing. Some people like it slightly higher. But getting the action to a comfortable height for you is going to make a world of difference in the feel of the guitar and how much fun you have playing it. And then there's other things involved in setups like intonation and pickup height and stuff like that. That's not really going to affect the playability of your guitar as much, but they will affect other things like the tone of your guitar. And then outside of adjusting the action, probably the biggest bang for your buck you're going to get as far as playability of your guitar is concerned is putting a new set of strings on it. For me, there's nothing worse than trying to play with a bunch of rusty old strings that your fingers get hung up on. So having a basic knowledge of what can be adjusted on the guitar and at least knowing how to change your own strings is going to make your guitar a lot more playable and a lot more fun to play. And then in addition, you should at least know what the controls do on your guitar. Like on this guitar, it's got a toggle switch, which all the way up is just the neck pickup. In between is both pickups, and down is the bridge pickup. And then on this guitar, you've got a volume and tone control for each pickup. So on this guitar, the bridge pickup is controlled by this volume knob. And the tone is controlled with this knob. And then the neck is controlled with this volume knob. And again, tone with this knob. And then spend time experimenting with your amp and pedals. Dialing in the best tone for you is going to make it a lot more fun to play as well. And we all know the more fun we have playing, the more we're going to want to play, the better we're going to get. And so that's it for the tips. If I could give you one bonus tip, it would be just have fun. Don't stress out about not being able to play things that you wish you could play right away. Take some time, work at it day by day. You will get there eventually. Things that seem impossible at first with consistent practice become doable in the end. So that's it for this video. Remember to like and subscribe and check out my website, scottobryanguitar.com. I have my beginner guitar course up there right now. It takes you from scratch, like never having played guitar before, all the way up to rock and roll proficiency, and 10 videos that are easy to follow with some really cool songs to learn along the way. And I'll see you guys next time.